Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
Hashtag Clownfish was right. We're gonna talk about this. Boy, this is interesting. I thought everything was going just swell, just dandy in California when it comes to animation.
Right. We don't know anything about the animation
We don't
industry.
know anything about the
Even though we're
animation
talking
industry.
about it all.
Everybody's working, everybody's making all kinds of money, hand over fist, that they're greenlighting all kinds of new shows. No, actually, the opposite is true. This just dropped today from the Hollywood Reporter. California, once a mecca for animation, is rapidly losing ground, report claims.
Shocker.
Wow. Yeah, they said that the California's share of the highest grossing animated films dropped 40% between 2010 and 2023 because they're outsourcing more and more stuff, different countries. They're going to be using AI. And yeah, we're gonna take a look at this article because I know I mean I keep tabs on some of the animation industry subreddits, and there are a lot of animators, a lot of them anonymous, but they're saying, hey, yeah, there's like no work.
Yeah. But you're not allowed to say that because then
You're not allowed
you
to say
get
that
you get banned or they come after you.
because you're practically Hitler if you
You
say,
you,
hey,
you must listen to Clownfish TV. They doesn't know anything about anything.
So yeah, oddly enough, ironically enough, one of our most vocal critics has been out of work for almost a year. So I'm just saying, let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
Check out news.clownfishtv.com for more news, pop culture news, and video game news and all that stuff. Yeah, it's come from the Hollywood Reporter. Hollywood Reporter. They just dropped it this afternoon. California, once a mecca, is losing ground. They said that Disney opened its studio in Vancouver in 2021. The first project they took on was Moana 2, and it made a lot of money. Uh-oh. They said that was a warning. Oh my God, guys. It's almost like hashtag Clownfish was right.
We said the same thing.
That was a warning sign for the California animation industry, according to a new report from the Animation Guild, the Brick Foundation, and Titmouse Foundation in partnership with CVL Economics. Boy,
Or
oh boy.
Or you could have just asked us.
I could have just asked us. We said if they outsource to Canada and Moana 2 is a big hit, that's going to incentivize them to move production out of Burbank. But what the hell do we know? What the hell do we know about it? The original Moana was largely produced in Burbank, and the move up north meant that much of the project's economic impact, Moana 2 could have had as many as 817 jobs, 87 million wages, and 178 million state GDP, the study claims, went to Canada rather than California.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what? You can send it to India and do it even cheaper. And they're already doing that at DreamWorks.
Well, one thing that was interesting at the end of we did a video on the Thunderbolts at the end when they had the different people that were working on like the special effects and the animation arts and stuff. A lot of the names were definitely Asian names.
Yeah, they're outsourcing a lot of it. In fact, I think it was I was reading it was either Indonesia, the Philippines. They said that they're investing all kinds of money into startup animation studios because they know that the West is going to outsource more work there.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it was, I want to say Puss in Boots, the first one. I know the majority of it was animated in India. And for, all the talk of like, hey, we're animators, we work in the animation industry. Most of the actual animation is still done overseas.
Mm-hmm.
That, we have storyboard artists, which that's fine. It is a skill set, right? I'm not saying those people aren't talented. God forbid I say they're not talented because
no, I didn't say they weren't talented. I just said everybody and their dog wants to be a storyboard artist, and if you can't swing a dead cat without hitting one. That's what I said. I never once said that they weren't talented. I just said everybody wants to do it.
That is the majority of the creatives at work in California because they're sending the work overseas. So the actual grunt work is no longer being done in U.S. sweatshops. It's being done in overseas sweatshops. The Simpsons had it right. There was an intro where they had a bunch of people sweating away on The Simpsons. That's kind of how it works. But we'll just forget about that because we need our union to get us more money over here. Anyway, they said, yeah, the decision was emblematic of a trend that's been accelerating over the last decade or so, according to data laid out in the study. Between 2010 and 2023, California's share of the highest grossing animated films dropped from 67 to 27%. Between 2019 and 2024, animation employment dropped by 5% in California, while other jurisdictions saw upticks. They said New York, British Columbia, and Ontario.
Well, interesting. They keep mentioning films though, but like when it comes to you didn't
Shows.
get very many. I was like very many animated films back in the day. Like there wasn't. You got some that were filmed, and you got like maybe one big film a year that was either Disney or a different studio that was in the U.S. But a lot of like the shows and stuff that are on TV have been filmed overseas or made overseas for years, decades.
Yeah, most. I mean,
new.
yeah, most of the shows we watched as kids, most of those toy commercials that everybody likes
Mhm.
to slam on until they get to become a showrunner on a reboot of said toy commercial. Anyway, those shows, most of those were animated overseas.
Right. That's what I'm saying. This is not a new thing.
Even our Christmas specials, the
Rankin Bass stuff.
the Rankin Bass stuff was all done overseas. Yeah, yeah. And that's been going on for a long time, and it's going to get worse. Really, I mean, it's really the only studio I can think of in the '80s that did all the animation in house was Filmation. Pretty much everything else was outsourced, but it is going to get worse because these streamers, especially, are not going to want to spend the money to produce these shows at the cost what they've been costing. And Netflix is, looking either for completed shows that are ready to go that somebody else helped finance, or they're just importing anime, or you know what I'm saying? Like they're not. You're not going to see another time. I mean, there are some things in development. I guess they're going to do another Gravity Falls. They're going to do whatever, but you're not going to see like it used to be with Nickelodeon and Disney Channel, where they had like a bunch of new animated
Cartoon
shows.
Network and
Cartoon
stuff. They're
Network
actually doing it there for a lot of it and stuff. You're not going to see that now.
Cartoon Network is basically done at this point. And Disney Channel, everything's going to Disney Plus pretty much. They're doing the Phineas and Ferb. But again, it's proven. Gravity Falls is proven. You're not going to see a lot of unproven stuff. Your Tumblr comic is not going to get optioned for some show on network TV. It's not going to happen anymore. So there we go. They said beyond, they're talking about, Thursday, the study aims to convince policymakers to pass proposed amendments to California's film and television tax credit program. Basically, they're freaking out. Everybody's freaking out because everybody's leaving California because it's expensive and it's crime-ridden and it's expensive. And they said the program would render animated films and television shows eligible for the first time for the credit. Beyond animation's inclusion in the program, animation stakeholders have additionally been advocating for enhancements like a decrease in the $1 million minimum budget for eligible projects and a bid to include children's programming, which tends to operate in smaller budgets, but it remains to be seen how realistic those changes might be. Or, you're going to get your ass kicked by some YouTuber using Blender.
Well, they got people won awards using Blender.
Using Blender, got an Academy Award. There's like a $3 million movie. I mean, an individual could finance that movie themselves. It's crazy. They said in California, even some work that has historically taken place in state is trickling out. A survey of 648 Animation Guild members included in the report found that several state-based projects have begun outsourcing components of their work overseas. Oh my God, guys. The report cited SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, and Looney Tunes as titles that are now relying on international workers for at least some of their production pipeline. Nickelodeon and Warner Brothers won't comment. I mean,
of course they are. There's no way they're going to get it all done. It's going to be too expensive to do it here. There's a lot of demands and demanding people. And I think the demand for the shows and things, people want them done. They want them now.
Yeah. And honestly, they get done faster overseas, right? It depends. It depends. They said production phases are already, this is a report, production phases are already largely outsourced, and pre and post production are seeking increasing movement, putting the entire production chain at risk. Yeah. So typically how it works is they basically finalize everything over here and then they send it to the shop overseas to have the final animation done. But they do the storyboards, the voices, the character designs, yada, yada, yada. But they're saying, they might just do the whole thing overseas.
Wow. Well, it's going to be cheaper. They can get done faster. Cheaper,
faster.
It's the unfortunate reality because when it comes to art and things, you're looking at animation. It's each page, each cell is its own art, and like I know when you did the comic, people want it and they want it now, but they don't understand that each page took like 15 hours for just you to do, and you can't
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like crank it out as fast as they want it. And
Well,
I
it
guess
only
what's
took
going
me
on
5
now.
minutes to read it. It only took me 5 minutes to read that page. It must have
If
taken
they
you
took them
what?
5 minutes to read, then they're slow readers. But you know what I mean. Like if
Yeah, what I said.
it's
Yeah.
over in 30 seconds, I'm mad. There's a
Wait a
joke
minute.
there, but I'm not gonna make it.
God. Yeah.
My work is much better than just 30 seconds. But anyway.
Oh, hello. The statewide decline is playing out against the larger backdrop. So this is actually what bit them in the ass. Okay. COVID. They said COVID played a role in boosting production. Animation work could be done remotely as opposed to in person. And because of that, they're like, wait, so if we can work remotely, why are we paying these American workers as much as we're paying them when, if we're going to work remotely anyway, we'll just send it to overseas.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what happened. Cause I mean, I remember Netflix was going all in. They bought like a building. This was going to be their animation hub, and they were dumping all kinds of money into it. They were all about it. They're poaching Disney people. And then it just kind of like stopped.
Yeah, but that I remember that too. And that what I remember, and we even talked about at the time, was that they were announcing they were doing all these animated projects because the pandemic showed them that you could still move forward on those things when other productions had to stop. But when they announced that and started putting all the money into it was when COVID was already starting to wind down. And I
Yeah.
remember we did a whole video, and I'm thinking that's kind of dumb to do it now because everybody's going back out.
Yeah.
So you don't need to do it now. And then I guess they just learned that people, they didn't need to do any of it right then. You could just do it wherever, and it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, and that's just it. So what happened was they said that globally there were 558 projects in 2019, and then there were 828 in 2022 to 860 in 2024, a 54% increase in just outsourcing everything. Because if you're going to work with somebody remotely, as long as they have an internet connection and you're speaking the same language and you can work, and now you've got Zoom and you can very easily work with a shop in South Korea or something. You don't need them there. And let's be honest, I'm not trying to be that guy, but if you're working in person with people in Burbank, they're going to cost a lot more, especially with the unions.
Yeah.
And that's, and these companies are looking out for the bottom line, and they're gonna be like, well, we can hire a whole staff of union people, or we can just, hire a couple of people to oversee it and just ship it to someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have to worry about them.
We can get more done faster and cheaper.
Right. And you don't have to worry about them going out on social media and saying dumb shit. Constantly worry about them saying dumb shit on social media. There's further cause for confidence on the horizon. They said the report states the animation market is estimated to grow 117%, okay, in the next 10 years. Across film, TV, video games, digital, and advertising. That doesn't mean that you're going to be involved.
You know what else is going to grow in the next 10 years? AI.
Yeah. So the report makes a plea for lawmakers to ensure their state isn't left behind as the world moves on. California still retains significant advantages: proximity to major studios for now, skilled workforce, cultural alignment.
What's that even mean?
What does that mean? Cultural alignment and high quality production. Which is weird because we did another video where you had a Japanese animator, the person that actually does the actual animation, complaining about the storyboards that they were getting from California.
Well, we saw that with the She-Ra show too, because like She-Ra would be like really big in one panel, really small, that's smaller, and like a few seconds later, and it's because the way that the storyboards were drawn.
Steven Universe, that happened a lot. That happened a lot with Steven Universe too. Yeah, it was kind of like, but they're just doing what they're given, right? So it's like, well, if the character must change size or something, I don't know. It's not my problem. Not my problem. This is what you gave me. They said, the strengths are rapidly eroding as competing regions build their own animation ecosystems. Again, I know Indonesia's doing it, the Philippines is doing it. They're going to do it cheaper, more efficiently. And these studios, this stuff's expensive. Animation's expensive and time consuming. And if you're going to greenlight a show, you're going to try to do it it's dicey too. You never know when you're dumping that kind of money into it, if you're going to get a return on that. So you're going to try to spend the least amount of money possible, because there have been many, many, many examples of very expensive animated series that did not generate any revenue for the studios. And nobody's doing this just because they love doing it, even though
they love flushing money.
They like flushing money. Studio. Okay, let me put it to you this way: the people working in the industry are doing it because they love doing it. The studios are in this to make money, and if they're not making money, and you know what I'm saying? It's like it's not their responsibility to spend $20 million so you can see your fanfic on Netflix.
Right. It's or just so you can sit in a chair and do your job. You know, do a
Right,
job
right.
that's not making any money. It's like if a place is unsuccessful, business is unsuccessful, they have to shut it down. They don't put more money into it just so you can sit there.
So there we go, guys. This is fine. It's totally fine. Everything's good. It's all good here. I'm sure everybody that's been bitching about this is going to land on their feet and get another 6-figure job any day now. Any day.
Yes.
We're going to wrap it up.
Uh-huh.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.